Hi everybody, today is lesson 4-6 and 4-8, which is day 1 of multiplying and dividing fractions. So the first thing is, when we are adding and subtracting fractions, do you need to find a common denominator? The answer would be yes. We know this from the previous lessons that we always need to make sure we find a common denominator before adding or subtracting. So then the next one says, when multiplying and dividing fractions, do you need to find a common denominator? The answer for this is going to be no, because you are multiplying straight across when you are multiplying, and then when you're dividing, we have a little trick here, and then you multiply straight across. So for example number 1, multiplying fractions. So remember the multiplication rules are positive times a positive is a negative times a negative is a positive times a negative is a negative times a positive is a negative. So, example 1 with multiplying the numerators. We have 1/2 times 3/10. So we want to make sure we multiply our numerators. So 1 times 3 is 3, and denominators, 2 times 10 is 20. Okay, so our answer would be 3/20. If we're able to, we can simplify as well. For letter A, we have 2 times negative 3 over 4. So we're going to change our 2 into a fraction of 2 over 1. So 2 over 1 times negative 3 all over 4. So we're going to go ahead and multiply straight across. So we have negative 6 over 4. We're going to say how many times can 4 go into negative 6? That is once. Remember, it is a negative, so we're going to put a negative 1. Then we have 2 out of 4 left over. However, this is not the end result because we can divide our numerator and our denominator by 2. So we get negative 1 and 1 over 2 as our final answer. Okay, letter B, we're going to take our negative sign, move it to the numerator as well. So our problem is negative 2 over 7 times 3 over 8, multiply straight across. So we get negative 6 over 56. Okay, you can simplify this. So we're going to divide by 2 to start. We're going to get negative 3 all over 28. And from here, we cannot simplify any further, so negative 3 over 28 is our final answer. Okay, and then letter C. We're going to take our negative sign, put it into the numerator, so we get negative 2 all over 3 times, then we're going to take our negative 4 and make a fraction. So we're going to put it over 1, so negative 4 over 1, and then go ahead and multiply straight across. So we get 8 over 3. How many times can 3 go into 8? You would say that's 2. And then there are 2 out of 3 left over. All right. The next section is multiplying mixed numbers. So it says before multiplying the numerators and denominators, you need to change the mixed number into an improper fraction. So this is something that we learned earlier. So if you change it into an improper fraction, remember for this example problem here, we're going to keep our 1/2 the same, so it just came over here. For 4 2/5, you're going to multiply your whole number times your denominator and add your numerator. So 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22, and then all over 5. From here, multiply straight across, so you get 22 all over 10. From here, 10 goes into 22 2 times, and there's 2 out of 10 left over, but this is not the final answer. You're going to get 2 and then 1/5 as your final answer. Okay, so for letter D, we're going to do the same thing, make it into an improper fraction. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16, so this is going to be a negative 16 over 3 because we have that negative sign in front. And then we're going to times it by 3 over 1. So one other thing that I'm going to show you really quick is that you can actually make this a little easier on yourself so you don't have to simplify at the end. If you notice that cross products you can simplify, you can. So 3 and 3 can both be divided by 3, so you get 1. So our new problem is negative 16 over 1 times 3 over 1. Oh, sorry, not 3. 1 over 1, because we changed that. Multiply across, and we will get negative 16. Okay, in letter E, We're going to multiply and add, so we get negative 9 over 2 times negative 5 over 4. If you look at the cross products, I'm not able to simplify anything. So we're going to multiply negative 9 times negative 5, which is 45. And then 2 times 4, which is 8. And then we're going to see how many times can 8 go into 45. And that's going to be 5 times. And then there's 5 out of 8 left over. So 5 and 5/8 would be our final answer. Okay, go ahead and flip it over to the back. Okay, on the back side, this is all about dividing fractions. So if we have here 3/4 divided by 1/2, it's called keep it, switch it, and then flip it. So you keep your first fraction, you switch your symbol, and then you flip your fraction. So keep it would be 3/4, switch the symbol from division to multiplication, and then flip your fraction to 2 over 1. Then you want to multiply straight across, and you would get 6 over 4. 4 can go into 6 one time. There's 2 out of 4 left over, which would simplify to 1 and 1/2. Okay, letter F. So you're going to take this negative sign, move it to the numerator, negative sign, move it to the numerator. So you're going to get negative 1 all over 4 divided by negative 2 all over 3. Okay, so we're going to do keep it, switch it, and then flip it. So I'm going to have negative 1 over 4 times 3 over negative 2. And you multiply across. So I'm going to get negative 3 over negative 8. And when you have two negatives on top of each other, they just kind of go away. They simplify to 3/8. Over here to the side, as you can see, those are our division rules. So positive divided by a positive is a positive, negative divided by a negative is positive. And when they're opposite, so positive divided by a negative, you get a negative, and a negative divided by a positive, you get a negative. Okay, for letter G, same thing, keep it, switch it, flip it, make sure that your negative goes to the top. So you get 3 over 5 times 5 over negative 4. So, just as I had taught you guys earlier, if you do cross products and they're the same number, they can both simplify to 1. So you get 3 over 1 times 1 over negative 4, multiply straight across, and you get 3 over negative 4, or you could just rewrite it as negative 3 over 4 as your final answer. Okay, and then the last section here is dividing mixed numbers. So before doing keep it, switch it, flip it, you must rewrite the mixed number into an improper fraction. So for the first one here, we have 1/2 divided by 4 2/5. So we're going to make this into an improper fraction. So that would be 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22, so 22 over 5. But then we have to keep it, switch it, and then flip it. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 5 over 22, then multiply across. So 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 22 is 44, and we cannot simplify, so that is our final answer. Okay, example letter H. So we're going to make our negative 5 and put it over 1. And we're going to make 1 1/3 as an improper fraction. So I get negative 5 over 1 divided by 4 over 3. From here I'm going to do keep it, switch it, flip it. So I have negative 5 over 1 times 3 over 4. And I'm going to multiply straight across. So I'm going to get negative 15 over 4. How many times can 4 go into negative 15? That is 3 times, but remember it is a negative. And then there are 3 out of 4 left over. So we'd have negative 3 3/4. Then my last one, letter I, make sure your negative sign goes to the top. So we have negative 3 over 4 divided by, change this to an improper fraction, so 3 over 2. Then I'm going to do keep it, switch it, and flip it. So I have negative 3 all over 4 times 2 over 3. From here, I'm going to cross simplify, so I'm going to divide my 3's by 1, so I get 1, and this is going to be a negative 1. Then I'm going to cross off that and make it a 1, and this a 2 because I divided by 2's. So I'm going to have negative 1 over 2 times 1 over 1, which in the end I'm going to get negative 1 over 2, or you could rewrite it as negative 1/2. Thanks for watching, everybody.